All right, what's up? How's it going? It's your girl BlackKrystel here at the L.A.N Party booth, Dreamcon 2024, and I am so excited to have yet another amazing interview here at the booth. You gotta let the people know who you are, what you do, what you getting into.
Yo, I'm gonna look right at the camera. My name is Dr. Marshall, Dr. like doctor. I'm the author of your new favorite manga, Infinity Star.
Infinity Star Manga. Okay.
Manga.
See, I'm a baby manga head. I'm more of an anime girly myself, but I'm dabbling. I'm getting into it, especially when it's not the main publishers, when it is a creator that is someone like yourself putting out work that is different than what we normally see. So give us a taste of like what you get into. What is your work? What are you working on?
Okay, so it's pretty simple. So right now I'm currently working on my manga, Infinity Star. I recently self-published it. I'm actually a panelist this year.
Nice.
Panel was yesterday, so y'all missed it.
Oh, we're gonna have to check that out. I'm sure there'll be socials about it somewhere.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But I'm just pretty much trying to go through the whole manga making process, building my portfolio. And in probably like a year or so, I plan on bringing it up to some animation studios. Hoping to get my anime from there.
So anime future, you would like to see that.
Oh, for sure.
I think we all would like to see that.
For sure.
That's awesome. So did you go to school for art? Is that something you started your career? Is like being a manga artist and creator like yourself was something you kind of found on accident?
So actually, how it started was my earliest drawing that I remember was me drawing my third grade teacher naked.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
okay.
It was a whole thing after that. But I've always had a knack for drawing. I just never really took it serious. It wasn't until 2016 I was working for a video game company called Blizzard.
Okay.
And it was right around the time.
Yeah, small indie company.
Huh?
Yeah, a small indie company.
Now Blizzard is huge.
I'm trolling.
Oh, okay.
I'm trolling.
You know what? It's a long day.
I know. Listen, it's only Saturday.
Right. But yeah, so I was working for them, and it was around the time they was releasing a game called Overwatch. And
a game called Overwatch.
A game called Overwatch.
game.
Yeah, some, right? But they had an internal contest, which was for people to design their own character, and whoever won the contest would get their character added as a DLC character later on.
Wow.
So me, who always kind of had a background in kind of drawing, I was like, you know what? Let me get a shit a try.
Let me dabble. Let me go.
Let me try. You know what I'm saying? Let me shoot my shot.
All right.
So I ended up going home. I ended up putting together, this BS story that fit the story of the game, and I ended up creating what became the rough draft to my character, Robert Adam.
Really?
Yeah. And on the day that it was time for us to present it, they canceled the whole contest because there wasn't that many participants.
Not enough to really be fair.
Yeah, man.
But you put in all that work.
But I put in all that work. So I went home and I just started erasing certain details because a lot of the details fit the narrative of the game.
Right.
So I started erasing those details, started adding other details, and next thing you know, I had the foundation to what became known as Infinity Star.
Infinity Star, so what is there? Is there a brief synopsis for people who are just curious about what the narrative is for your manga?
For sure. So Infinity Star is about this kid named Rob, and his whole thing is that, just like most of us, he's in his final year of high school and he has no idea what he wants to do with the rest of his life.
An experience I think we all can relate to.
Absolutely. So it's not Infinity Star is not a story about finding your purpose. It's a story about being given a purpose.
Really?
And yeah. So how it goes is in the very first chapter, my main character Rob pretty much finds out that his teacher is a descendant of the creator of the universe.
Wow.
Who was being targeted.
Okay.
And he gets caught up in the mix of the whole situation, and which results in Rob becoming a demigod who is now also being targeted.
Interesting. So I'm loving these kind of like fantasy elements that are there. I hate to say fantasy because I think it brings a particular connotation. But when you're talking about demigod, God here, it feels like it's in a similar genre. So I'm super curious, where did you draw your inspiration for this? Like your ancestors, your main characters, there's something that happened to you that maybe inspired the specific narrative? Or is it a game or something that had already impacted you growing up that you kind of wanted to tell your own version of a story?
For sure. I think for me, it was more so, I have a background in music. I used to always do music, and I always, from music, that transitioned into me really, really, really getting into poetry.
Okay.
So I fell in love with storytelling. And so I knew that whatever story that I wanted to create, I wanted to create a story that would have a high enough ceiling for me to let my imagination just really go crazy.
Ooh.
And so what's higher than God himself?
I love that.
Right.
And it's very anime, let's be real. I mean, like, we can talk about certain animes where they take God to the next level, like Gurren Lagann. Their universes slapboxing each other in space.
Absolutely.
But I feel from what you're telling me is that your story is kind of different than that. That it has a very unique take on, I feel, your experience, at least with what you want to say. So, are there any themes that really stand out to you, other than you said being given that purpose, kind of rising to that challenge? Is there other things we can look forward to, or themes we can connect to as we read?
So one thing that I really, really, really wanted to focus on, this is like a really big thing to me. And I want to say ahead of time that me saying that this is what I'm focusing on, I'm not trying to take a shot at people that do focus on this.
No,
You know,
not
right?
at all. This is your take.
For sure.
Right.
But for me, I wanted to tell like the real everyday Black experience.
I love that.
And what I mean by that is that all of us know what the Black struggle is,
right,
but not everybody experiences the Black struggle.
Correct.
And I wanted to tell a story of a Black character without trying to oversaturate the Blackness.
Okay.
Which is, when you have the shows like the Boondocks that tries to focus on Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and stuff like that, or you have the Jordan Peels that try to talk about, they're cloning us Black people in the factory. I wanted to tell a story that focused on a Black character, but his Blackness isn't part
not
of
the
who
focus.
He is.
I mean,
it's not the focus.
Yeah, and a lot of media there, it's like if we happen to have a Black protagonist, everything about the story or the character is surrounded about their Blackness or their culture. And it's not to diminish the value in that at all, but sometimes it'd be nice to just exist. That my Blackness doesn't have to be the subject matter of the story I'm telling.
Absolutely.
It plays an important part though, for sure.
Yeah, and I think like you see it, and especially when it comes to a lot of our movies, because it's like when you see, if you mention The Conjuring or something like that, which is a very scary movie, it's like the movie is scary because it's scary, but then when you watch the movie like Get Out, it's like it's a thriller kind of movie that really pries on you, but it's because as Black people we're being sacrificed.
Yeah.
So it's like there's always a Black element that I feel like when it comes to Black media.
Totally.
And that was something that I wanted to get away from. I wanted to be able to just I wanted to be able to give people the ability to look at the screen and just see Black characters living a regular life.
That's so nice and definitely not done. It really makes it unique. I really can't think of media that just happens. Like, I'm a main character, I just happen to be Black.
The only time you really see it is Will Smith.
Period.
That's really the only time you see it is Will Smith. Will Smith can do I Am Legend, and it has nothing to do about him being Black.
He's someone who really worked hard to craft that for his career.
Exactly.
It wasn't something that he was able to do easily in the industry. So to hear your experience about this too, I'm curious, were there any struggles or like hurdles in trying to take upon this interpretation when you're presenting your story to those, or trying to get that buy and be like, yeah, it's a story about a Black character, but it's not really about that. Have you kind of come into any hurdles there?
So I haven't really came into too many issues when it comes to that.
That's good.
I will say that even though my goal is to not focus on Blackness, I still want to focus on Black issues.
Absolutely.
Without focusing on, that I do tackle racism, but not racism in the way that we look at it, which is how we all experience it. I'm tackling racism in a other way, and the people that watch it whenever that moment comes, they're going to know exactly what my intentions is. So I would say trying to figure out a way to get such heavy topics and throw it into the undertone in certain situations is kind of a challenge, but like I'm kind of at the process right now where everything is just flowing through me. So
that's good. I mean,
sure.
I'm loving hearing though that it has this kind of larger than life vibe here, where we're talking about godhood, demigods, like what's a bigger threat than the creator themselves. But also hearing that you're putting in a little bit of that wholesomeness I feel that we get when it comes to anime. You can't really get that far away from manga vibes, and that kind of like campness is what I call it from it. So what kind of genre would you really place the manga in yourself, rather than me kind of taking the stab at it from what I've learned?
I would absolutely put it under adventure.
Okay, adventure for sure.
I would actually one thing that I'm really focusing on with this story is I want to create so many fantastic places that's visually appealing, so that if a video game ever came out, the first thing you would think of is like, I want to go to this place and see this thing. I want to go see that thing. So that's really my goal. And again, with the hierarchy that I created, it allows me to tackle that in a way where like I can go to different planets and just create an entirely brand new environment.
Wow.
And everything, and just let my imagination go. So
do you have any favorites of those that you've created, like in building this world? Is there anything that really stands out to you when you were building it?
So it was actually the first planet that I designed outside of Earth.
Okay.
Real quick, one other really cool thing that I thought was like, it's just like a little little joke.
Sure.
Whenever my characters does enter space for the first time, because it does happen, the first thing that they do is they land on the moon to see if it's really made out of cheese.
You gotta know.
Because when we were a kid, you had the Ritz commercial where they were scooping the moon like cheese. So they went to try it. And
that's cute.
It's not what they think it is.
I like that adventure, that comedy there. Like, we're not afraid to tackle like heavy themes, but also we're gonna still crack a joke. We're still gonna have a bit like that.
For sure. And but yeah, my first planet was one that I was really excited to do. It's in a planet where everything that we deem as valuable is nothing to them. The people there are made out of diamonds.
Really?
They're cement. Instead of cement, it's gold. So the stuff that they find, the stuff that we find very valuable to them is just everyday tools and everyday objects.
They're just tools to build a building with.
Right.
It's almost dismissive, but we covet it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so interesting.
But coming across something like a plant to them is like a rarity. So you will see earrings that's just like tree leaves or something like that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I could see right away getting lost in a world like that. And it's so creative of you to kind of put a spin on that. And that being your first planet you created, like, how did you come up with it? You just woke up one day and said, diamond people.
You know what? It was actually like that.
You're kidding.
No, legit. So I used to work for TikTok. And my supervisor at the time, he told me that the way that we use the word genius right now is actually the incorrect way. He said back in the day, the word genius, it wasn't something that you are, it was something that you had. So it would be like a genius.
A quality.
It was phrased as a genius, and it would pretty much be the way that you would describe a good idea. So if you had a great idea, you wouldn't be like, oh, you're a genius. You'll be like, oh, you had a genius. So that's how they used to use it. And I feel like that kind of speaks more to my experience because, yes, there'll be moments where I'm just kind of sitting down, chilling throughout the household, and out of nowhere, it'll be like, oh, diamond people.
Wow.
And it'll be in every detail of it. I mean, from the food that they eat, everything all at once just comes to me at once. So I honestly feel like I'm kind of cheating a little bit. Like whoever is my, what they say, the CIA agent that watches you, he's giving me the intel.
Somehow.
And he's giving it all to me. So, but everything's coming together. I have notebooks on top of notebooks of all the story that I want to tackle.
Oh, wow. See, now I'm itching for that concept art. I'm itching for those writer's notes there. They've got to be intense. But I think that's really funny that you're writing a story or you're crafting a manga that is involving God when it sounds like you've been graced by God himself with these ideas.
Thank you.
Some sort of specialty is going on in there for you to have the stroke of genius or how to have genius. I'm going to work on how to say it right. We'll get it there.
I still don't have it right myself. I will say this, though. If I ever get to the point, which I will, get to the point where there's going to be a documentary, that's what it's going to be called. It's going to be called A Genius.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
When she told me, when he told me that.
No, I would too, because it's something to be reflective on as well, especially when you are a creative. It's really about expressing yourself and finding a way to take that creative spark that you have within you and actualize it, put it on paper. So to find out that you've more than taken those first steps and are working to build out this amazing world for all of us and story to get lost in. I'm just genuinely curious if you had any like advice for aspiring manga artists out there, because jumping into the industry untrained is a hurdle to say the least.
So in my panel yesterday, I actually went over this.
Really?
Yeah, so it's some tips that I would give to people that want to get started in the industry. And it's not the kind of tips that you would think. It's not things that will help. It's the things that you have to accept before you start.
See, those are just as important, arguably more.
Yeah, I call those the hard truths. And
so what's some hard truths in being a manga artist?
Hard truths, number one, is if you're doing it as a group, the idea guy sucks. And the reason why the idea guy sucks, because the idea is not what's going to make it big. It's the execution.
Yes.
It's so easy to sit down and just be like, oh, you should do this. And then it's like if you wanted to make a cookbook and I'm like, oh, you know, it'd be a bomb thing, you should try this. And then you have to figure out the recipe yourself. You know how easy it is for me to just blurt out a food that I like, but for you to actually dissect that and actually figure out what's going to work. So the idea guy always sucks because it's not the idea that's going to be your thing. It's going to be the execution. Focus on the execution. Find people that's going to execute with you. Another hard truth is you have to accept the fact that 40 hours of work is only going to equal a 1 minute glance.
Yep.
It's going to take me 40 minutes to draw a couple pages that you're only going to look at for a second or two.
Yep.
And you have to accept that. It is what it is. And then the last one that I will give y'all is...
So the final hard truth of being a manga artist here.
Huh?
I said, so the final hard truth of being a manga
The final
artist.
hard truth, I would say, is I'm trying to think through my slideshow in my head. Oh, the feeling of completion is only temporary, and you cannot get stuck on that. And what I mean by that is a lot of times, if you're working on a manga, you finish one chapter and you're going to feel really good because now you feel like you can breathe. You got to work on that second one now. Second you finish that second one, now you got to work on the third one. It's always going to be more work that's coming up next. And every time you feel like you completed something, that just means you got to start the next thing. And a lot of times, it's kind of like a New Year's resolution. You know, I want to go to the gym every day. You go to the gym twice, now you're chilling for the rest of the year.
Right. It's momentum based.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, this is great, and you're going to get that reward. And there's something valuable about finally closing that page of that chapter, putting the pen down. But when you stop, when you do take that break, that hard break, when you think I'm done, that's when you lose the momentum. And if you want to really be in the industry and become a creator, become a manga artist like yourself, you have to keep going. You have to keep doing.
Exactly.
No, it's definitely not an easy feat. And it takes a certain kind of individual to have the tenacity to kind of keep going and jumping into this industry, especially as a person of color.
For sure.
I mean, you're rolling with disadvantage, I like to say often, when you're trying to get out here. So
all the time.
Well, I am so excited to get a little taste of what you've made here, but I want to make sure that everyone who is watching has a chance to know where they can follow you and support you. So you want to bust it down to let us know how we can check you out?
Oh, for sure. I don't know if the camera will be able to zoom in on this, but hold on, let me get this out. So if you are able to somehow scan this QR code, that cameraman zoom in post. If you're somehow able to capture this QR code here, you can scan it. It's going to take you to my IG. It's also going to take you to where you can read every single chapter I have available for free.
For free?
For free.
Access is amazing. Again, I remember the days of the screen printing and scanning and sweet. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
No. But I love that you have that. You can check it out yourself and experience what you have in the world that you've built. I know I'm really excited as a baby manga head just jumping into the world.
Sure.
I think I want to fill myself with stories that are made from people that I see myself in.
For sure.
And really resonate with my experience. So that's awesome to see.
Absolutely. Also, if the QR code thing doesn't work, it's Infinity Star Manga, one word on IG.
You heard it here, Infinity Star. Check it out. And the amazing work that they have to offer here. I think, though, that is going to be it for our time. Do you have any questions for me? I love to ask this question. Anything of me? I mean, I am a seasoned con goer myself. This is not my first rodeo.
I would say less of a question and more just admiration. I really like what you guys got going on here.
Thank you.
More importantly, I really value the aspect of teamwork. As I look here, I see you got a solid team going on. I appreciate everything that y'all see here, and I hope one day I could get the same kind of team that looks like this.
Oh yeah, this is what Dreamcon is all about, is getting us together, getting us in the room, and being able to build our own spaces. So same from us here at L.A.N Party to you. We wish you best of luck in all your endeavors, and let us know how we can continue to support you in your creative aspirations.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, GGs, we'll see you next time.